Hi everyone, my name is Madie Gonzales and I would like you all to close your eyes and picture this scenario. You're walking down a long hall with thousands of goods for the taking. When your eyes meet a familiar face, you freeze. Something's not right. You stare wondering, what's different? You become unnerved. Something's wrong. Where is the dash you so fondly remember? There, between Kit and Kat? The world shakes and you fall to your knees. Why is this happening to you? Well, the truth is, it happens to everyone. The Mandela effect is not only interesting, but it's also experienced by everyone, whether they choose to believe it or not. The mystifying phenomenon can be seen through many examples, whether it's a childhood memory or a favorite snack, and can cause you to question your sanity or what you believe to be true. It's startling when a mass group of people recall something they thought was fact, and it turns out to be false all along. While most of the time this effect is lighthearted, the false memories can also be very dangerous and lead to serious consequences. I, like everyone else, have experienced this effect firsthand. Along with my experiences, I have also done extensive research on the Mandela effect and false memories. Today I will be educating you on the Mandela effect and why it's important to be aware of false memories. In this presentation, I will discuss who is Nelson Mandela and what is the Mandela effect. I'll give examples and explain how this affects society. Nelson Mandela was a South African anti-segregation and discrimination activist, but it's not his work as an activist that has the public talking about his death, or technically his life. Neil Dagnall and Ken Drinkwater, reader and senior lecturers in cognitive psychology at Manchester Metropolitan University, say in 2010 it was popular belief that Nelson Mandela died in prison in 1980. In fact, people remember seeing his funeral on TV. However, Nelson Mandela was released from prison in 1990 and eventually died in 2013. This event is where the occurrence got its name, the Mandela effect. The effect happens when a large group of people believe something happened or has always been a certain way, even though it's not true and there's no evidence it ever was. Diana Witt, a reporter for The Breeze, states that this event is subject to many conspiracies, including conspiracies that people who remember Nelson Mandela's funeral slipped into a parallel universe where he did not die. However, there isn't really any evidence to be found about this theory, and researchers attempt to explain this misconception as more people experience the effect. But some believe that there are too many instances of the effect for them to all be misconceptions. There are many other examples of this experience, ranging from events like that of Nelson Mandela's death to things such as movie quotes. The Mandela effect can be seen in a variety of ways, one of which can be in the form of nostalgia. Most people have heard of the Berenstain Bears and have read the childhood books, right? Well, these children's literature characters are also subject to the Mandela effect. It is a hot topic debate. Is it Berenstain or Berenstein? Well, if you take a closer look at the books, you'll find that the name is spelled with an A and not an E, like so. Jake Rawson and senior staff writer for Mental Floss and interviewed Dr. Jean Brewer, a cognitive scientist cognitive psychologist professor at ASU, where they interviewed each other and tried to figure out what could have been the cause of these cases. Dr. Jean Brewer found that this misconception of the Berenstain Bears was likely due to self-perpetuating problems where people found the misspelling of the word and embedded it as true in their memory because that's how they've always seen it. Another example from this is the classic movie Forrest Gump. We all know the famous line, "Life is like a box of chocolates, you never know what you're gonna get." Well, that isn't exactly accurate. It's actually life was like a box of chocolate. So now everything we know in life is wrong and life is a lie, right? Well, that's not true either. Technically, you are right, but there are two versions of this line, one of which is in the trailer, which is the one everyone knows life is like a box of chocolates, while the other is life was, which was in the movie. So you're only wrong on a technicality. And one more example for good measure was from Dr. Brewer and Rawson, is Jiffy or Jif peanut butter. Everyone has heard of Jiffy, except that's not a peanut butter brand. Dr. Brewer believes this is a case of what they call false memory by incorporating elements in the reconstruction process. This basically means that you took two different brands of peanut butter and in an attempt to remember the brand, you put them together, creating a false memory of Jiffy, when in fact, it is Jif. So, does it really matter if you remember the line in a movie being different? This fun and intriguing phenomenon isn't always fun and can lead to more serious misconceptions than a couple of bears being the wrong name. You may ask yourself, why is it important knowing what the Mandela effect is? Well, it's important because it raises a serious question in our society. Can we trust our memories? An article from Bo Cochran and Associates from Ohio State University shares a theory that we previously touched on, explaining that this is caused by misinformation, and that our brains can falsify memories so well that we believe they're true. We live in a world where we share information and it spreads so quickly for people to continue the knowledge, we don't even know if it's true or not. People can just post it out there. All it takes is for one person to validate those misconceptions and misinformations for it to become true to the public. So it builds and builds until people are like, so many people believe this is true, how can it be fake? If our brains can so easily be manipulated, what's to say half the things we believe to be true are fact? It becomes a slippery slope, and we get serious and potentially life-ruining situations that surface from these false memories. Ed Cara, a reporter for Medical Daily based in New York City, shares an example of this in his False Memories in Mental Health article. In the early 2010s, the recovered memories scandal blew up, where people would go into their therapy sessions with their therapist and come out believing they were abused. The cases occurred after a now discredited practice that was used to treat people with mental health disorders to see if there was something in their past that created their mental health disorder. Because of the question being asked, it built a vivid scenario in the patient's minds to where they believed they were being abused. Because of this scandal, we can see that not all Mandela effects and false memories are so lighthearted. Now that we have learned about Nelson Mandela and the Mandela effect, and examined some cases and looked at the phenomenons in our society, we can understand how it affects everybody from their misconceptions to false memories. While most of us will only experience the lighthearted side of it, it's important to be aware of all sides. And if a few of these examples didn't quench your thirst for the Mandela effect, please go check it out. There's plenty of videos and articles about different cases that are going to blow your mind. So the next time you walk down the aisle at your local grocery store and your world comes to a halt because you see a candy bar that you believed was spelled differently, you'll be able to put a name to the experience. And who knows, maybe you won't find yourself on your knees asking why this happened to you, because you'll know it happens to everyone.